Okay, we're now going to take up another one of the dimensions of religions. The dimensions we discuss in this session are holy books, ritual activities, aids to worship, and then while it's a little bit differently, we look at a dimension called universality, which simply means that it has seemed that wherever we go, we find that people have religion. Now, the dimension of religions related to holy books is not universal. That is, some religions, primarily the basic religions, often do not have holy books. They pass on their information by word of mouth. But most of the religions that are thought of as religions have holy books that they use. Christianity, of course, has the Bible. I only have one picture of it here because there are so many different versions of the Bible that it would take up a great deal of space to have them all. Islam has two types of holy books. One is the Holy Quran. This was given by dictation to Muhammad by the prophet Gabriel and written at his direction by his followers. It has become the holy book of Islam. In every mosque, there will be a open Quran on a rack, as you see here, indicating that this is the book that they're going to be following. Now, the Quran was written in Arabic. The Bible was written in Hebrew, in the Torah, the Jewish Bible, and in Koine Greek in the New Testament. Islam has other holy books, and that is called the Hadith. The Hadith are holy books. They are books to be used, but not on par with the Quran. The Quran is the central book. Hadith is copies of stories about Muhammad, his sayings, his teachings, and Islam pays a great deal of attention to Hadith, but does not consider it as authoritative as the Quran. Hinduism has a beautiful holy book called the Bhagavad Gita. It's a long poem that tells of history of Hinduism. The picture you see on the front here is from one of the important stories in this book. It's the story of Arjuna and Krishna. Krishna is the chariot driver. Arjuna is the warrior. Arjuna is having questions about whether he ought to go to war, and Krishna explains to him that is the duty of your caste, and it is your responsibility to carry out the duty of your caste. So this is the holy book of Hinduism. Chinese religion, Confucianism and Taoism, have their holy books as well. The Analects of Confucius is a compilation of the teachings of the great teacher, and these teachings of Confucius formed the teaching that was done in China for many centuries until 1949, when the communists did away with the teachings of Confucius. Many very important teachings are found within the writings of Confucius. The Tao Te Ching was written by Lao Shi, a Chinese philosopher. It contains the basic teachings for the Taoism and is a very important work. Buddhism, another religion in China, has its sacred text called the Tipitaka, and this is a list of writings, or a compilation of writings that talk about the teachings of Buddha. As a matter of fact, other Chinese religions like Jainism have their holy books as well. The new religions that have started since 1800 have their holy books. The Book of Mormon, the Book of Scientology by Ron Hubbard, the Guide to Science and Health by Mary Baker Eddy for Christian Science. These books generally are considered to have been given to the founder of the new religion and to add to the teachings of the Bible. Now, another dimension that we find in religions are rituals or religious activities that different people engage in. In the basic religions, the religions in non-developed areas, we have a religion called animism, or sometimes called primitive religion, but you'll find out we don't want to use that term. But here we see a shaman, a magic person, making some of the materials he will use in his healing or his other activities, and he's preparing for his work. On the other side, you see a shaman who is engaged directly in a healing activity for a person that's sick. The shaman do magic of various kinds, healing, finding lost objects, and answering questions. Some rituals in basic religions get into sorcery or black magic. That is causing harm to people by some magical way. Making a doll, sticking pins in it to cause physical anguish to the victim is a part of sorcery. One interesting matter is there is a group in the continent of Africa, in West Africa, that use a ritual to prove innocence or guilt. There is in that area a plant, for some reason, and nobody knows why, half the chickens that eat the plant die and half of them get well. The people in that area have a custom, if a person's accused of a crime, they get a chicken, feed it some of this plant. If the chicken lives, the person's innocent. Chicken dies, the person's guilty. But sorcery. The man you see in the left here is doing foretelling or predicting the future by using little objects, dice or other objects, and this is a very important part of ritual in basic religions. The person on the other side is one who is trying to ask the spirits to send rain or good crops or some other matter that is needed, and there is also one of the events done by the shaman. Christianity has its rituals. Here you see a worship service in Catholicism on the left, the Protestant type of service on the right. We see the Lord's Supper table used by many Christian groups, and we see the ritual of baptism, which generally carries the idea of entrance into a particular religious group. But these are rituals that are observed. Islam has its rituals. The picture on your left is of a group of people in Islam in worship as they do their special way of bowing. On the right is the individual person doing salat, or one of the 5 prayer times during the day. Actually, the salat is an individual prayer, but knowing that everyone's doing it at the same time sort of makes it a joint matter. The 2 pictures on the bottom both come from the Islamic observance of a pilgrimage or Hajj. The picture on the left is the Kaaba. the sacred place to which Muslims go once in a lifetime, if at all possible, and they worship there. If you notice, all of them are in white clothes. The first thing done when you get to Mecca on the pilgrimage is to change your traveling clothes for the white garment. This way everybody is dressed exactly the same, and it's a symbol of the unity of people. On the right is another activity within the Hajj, or pilgrimage for Muslims. Is called the stoning of Satan. And during the activities of the Hajj, a week long, the people pick up rocks and then they go to this one particular wall, throw the rocks at the wall, and symbolically it's called the stoning of Satan. Now, other rites of other activities, rituals, many religions have rites of passage. These are times when young people are declared to be adult. It's like the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah for Jewish people. For Muslims in Indonesia, a rite of passage is when a boy is 12 years old, the boy is circumcised and given the adult garment to wear. He's then told, hey, you're now a man. Many religions have the rites of passage that signal you have now gone through this time of life and you are now a grown person. The rite of purification is practiced by many religions. These men are bathing in the Ganges River in India, thinking they will be purified from sin. Some rituals are patriotic rather than religious in nature, and we would see those in cemeteries. The Buddhist priests here are carrying out a ritual of begging. The only thing the Buddhist priest owns is his begging bowl. Even the garment he wears is given to him. But they beg for food, and that's part of their practice. The ancient Canaanite people worshipped Moloch, this god that you see here, and part of that worship was at times giving a child as a sacrifice to the god. It was a very difficult kind of religion they practiced, not anything that we would want to see. Some rituals involve suffering. If you can tell this person has got hooks embedded in his flesh, he's pulling a heavy weight. He will pull it, causing extreme pain till he gets to the ocean, and then he goes into the ocean to let the salt water intensify his pain. So rituals. Many religions have aids to worship and meditation. These are material devices that help in their worship. You see on the top left the Roman Catholic rosary. The rosary has beads on it, and the person counts the beads to help them go through the parts of their worship, a reminder of those 7 stations. In the center is the Muslim rosary, though it's not called a rosary. This is a set of beads to remind the Muslim of the 99 beautiful names of Allah, and they use it to help in their worship. The lady on the right upper is worshiping in front of an idol that's an aid to worship. She considers that she is in the company of this goddess and that the goddess is accepting her offering. Many Christian groups will have a crucifix or a statue of Mary or other saints that are aids to their worship. The Indians in the western part of America use the Kachina dolls as a part of their worship. In fact, in parts of their worship, adults would dress up in costumes like these dolls and would frighten the children. The 3 pictures on the bottom are all of Tibetan prayer wheels. The Tibetan belief is that a prayer written on a piece of paper was continually offered up to the gods as long as it was in the air. And so the papers were put in these devices that would be spun, and that way the prayer pages were kept in motion and were continually lifted up, and you see various forms of the prayer wheels. Non-religious groups even have their aids to worship. The left, you see the tarot cards that are used with some people to tell fortunes. Atheists use the symbol on the far right to say all of these religious symbols are negated, and the little blue guy in the middle is a symbol used by atheists, as is the one right down at the very bottom in the middle, an atheistic symbol. The Druids in England worship at special places like Stonehenge, and the Stonehenge place becomes an aid to worship. And you can see on the right Wiccans or witches as they have their aids to worship on the table in front of them. Now, that dimension of universality. Even persons who say they're not religious often incorporate some of the religion dimensions into their lives. But what we have discovered is that everywhere we've studied humans, there seems to be evidences of some kind of religious practice. In prehistoric people, or Homo erectus and those other beings that in which we find fossils, seem to have had some religion. On the left, you see the Venus statues. These have been found. The lighter color is the Venus of the Sol. These are thought to have been fertility symbols, and the one has the horn in her hand. There are 13 notches on the horn. It is thought that perhaps those 13 notches relate to the menstrual cycle of the woman and have something to do with conception or reproduction. The big picture you see in the middle of the page are found in Ecuador. These giant pictures, they can only be seen from the air. They were constructed by prehistoric people. They know how they constructed them, not certain why, and certainly not understanding how they were able to construct these so perfectly. Many of them are unusually fine artistic devices. The prehistoric people seem to have buried their dead, sometimes with food and implements that showed some idea that these people might be living in a future life. Some people who are not necessarily religious still seek good luck by using various devices, sevens as you see, rabbit foot, four-leaf clover, horseshoes, but it seems like that religion is very much universal. This map is not very good in a sense, but it just gives colors to show that in every part of the world there are types of religion, and that it says only 9 countries have no clear religious majority. So universality. The dimensions of religion, we find these to add to the ones we've already seen.